Hey guys, I've got this on pause right now. I definitely want you to watch. It's on Hurricane Florence. It looks like it's going to smack us in the South Carolina area. All right. They just came out of a commercial.
I'm tracking Tropical Storm Florence in the Central Atlantic, a storm that's strengthening as it approaches the U.S., and why everyone along the East Coast needs to be on alert and ready for a potential landfall. Reynolds.
And Dr. Postel, it's not just Florence. There are three other storms in the Atlantic and the Pacific, and they could all threaten land this week. Kelly.
Plus, more than 30 million people are under flash flood alerts this morning, where torrential downpours could lead to life-threatening flash flooding. Reynolds.
And it is Saturday, and that means college football, where you'll need to pack an umbrella with the tailgating gear right now on AMHQ Weekend. Good morning, welcome to AMHQ Weekend. I'm meteorologist Reynolds Wolf. The latest on the dangerous threat of flash flooding coming up in a moment. We begin, though, with the latest on Tropical Storm Florence. Now, Florence is heading west across the Atlantic. It could have serious impacts along the U.S. coast coming up next week. The storm expected to strengthen back into a hurricane by tomorrow and into a major hurricane as it approaches the East Coast by early next week. Kelly, not unusual to have fluctuations in power when it comes to these systems.
So here's what we know at this hour regarding the storm. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper has declared a state of emergency ahead of any possible effects from the storm. Emergency management officials in Charleston County, South Carolina, have started to prepare for potential activation. And several cruise lines, including Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, have altered their routes to steer ships away from Florence, which is, like you said, Reynolds, forecast to become a major hurricane in just a little while.
Unbelievable. It's one of those weird mornings, Kelly. You and I have been doing this for a number of years, where any story that we have this morning deserves top billing. It does. But we've got so many things going on, including, as you mentioned earlier, the flooding possibility for parts of the Ohio Valley and mid-Mississippi.
Yeah, a little red on the map, too, throwing in some severe chances as well. But all that tropical moisture, we've already had flash flooding in Texas. It will continue up through Indiana. We've got the NASCAR race going on this weekend too, so that's going to be tough. Temperatures behind that cold front have taken the dip big time. We're talking 60s in Chicago, 71 degrees in Boston, but still warm and sultry all over the south.
And then we saw the fires out west, which is also in its own right a huge.
We're going to get to the hurricane coverage in a few minutes.
Right now, where thankfully Florence is going to go to the south, but it's still going to create some dangerous swells. We've got high surf and rip current conditions that will make those trips to the beach resorts quite dangerous. Bermuda already experiencing thunderstorms, not associated with Florence, but still, we are keeping a close eye on Florence as it moves to the south of Bermuda in the coming days.
All right, Kelly, let's go to the man. Let's go to Dr. Postel to give us the very latest on the very busy tropics.
Yeah, we have our hands full in the tropics, and in particular with Tropical Storm Florence right now. On the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center as of 5 a.m. Eastern, 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Looking at the satellite pictures, I'll go to that in a second. It's not looking particularly healthy right now, but that's only a short-term thing. Trust me, it's going to come back to life in a big way. It is moving west at 9, and that is problematic because every hour, every day that it keeps having this westward component of motion means it's getting closer to the United States. And we should be aware of that and have a plan. If you live in Florida, through Georgia, through the Carolinas, and even beyond north into the Northeast, follow the latest updates on the hurricane, on Florence, which will probably become a hurricane, and have a plan on what you might do to make a close encounter later next week. There it is on the satellite pictures in the bigger view. It's a long way, hundreds of miles from Bermuda, and even more than that, well over 1,000 miles from the east coast of the United States. So time is on our side to some extent to prepare for the possibility of a landfall. And that is definitely a possibility. Look at the Hurricane Center's cone now going out 5 days. It is likely that the center of Florence will pass inside of this red area. And noting that, of course, the impacts extend outside of that as well. But look at the intensity as well. This is a high-end hurricane forecasted by the Hurricane Center and by many of the forecast models. So this is something to watch very closely. And also notice that if you live, again, up and down the East Coast.
That's where I live, right there.
Updates on this tropical storm, which thankfully right now looks like it's struggling. But as I mentioned, it is likely to regain every bit of the strength that it once had as a Cat 3 and maybe even then some. The cloud pattern looks irregular, looks like we've lost some of the deepest convection, but that is temporary. Look at the models. Each one of these lines is a different one of them, showing you that as you go out in time, the intensity brings it back up to probably major hurricane status, Cat 3 or above, by early next week, prior to a very close encounter with the United States. And let's talk about how close an encounter that might be. Look at Wednesday and imagine Florence right out in there. And that is not an unrealistic scenario, right? That fits right within the cone of the hurricane center. And the guidance is telling us it will probably be in that zone mid next week. The steering pattern around that is making it less and less likely that Florence will find an escape route out to sea toward the north and northeast. That blocking high in its way and the flow around it is seemingly going to push Florence westward beyond this time period, and that brings it dangerously close to the United States later on in the period. Look at the ECMWF's models. So the model is run over and over again, many times, simulated over and over again to give you a sort of a sense for the uncertainty surrounding the track of Florence with this model, the European model, which is a really good one. You can see for yourself that the vast majority of tracks from the ECMWF model bring Florence inland. Only a few of them take it out to sea. Now, that's still a possibility, but stay updated on all the latest, please, if you live on the East Coast and have a hurricane plan. This is an ominous sign from the guidance. Kelly, back to you.
And Greg, this is going to be a very busy week ahead. We have multiple storms, tropical cyclones that we are tracking right now around the globe. Here is Tropical Depression 9, just classified yesterday by the National Hurricane Center, moving toward the west-northwest at 5 miles per hour. If it gets a name, the next name on the list would be Isaac. We do have Helene. I'll show you Helene in just a second. But this is the track that this depression, future tropical storm Isaac, will take, becoming a hurricane sometime between Monday and Tuesday. Winds increase to 90 miles per hour as we approach the Caribbean islands. So unfortunately, this could be another system that could impact land. Another one we're watching is Hermine. That's closer to the Cabo Verde Islands. But first, you can see the models all taking this tropical depression directly west and then eventually perhaps turning toward the north. And that would then again spare the Caribbean islands. We hope that does happen. Now here's Helene, also deemed a tropical storm just yesterday by the National Hurricane Center. Winds are 45 miles per hour. Here are the Cabo Verde Islands. So the southernmost islands could be affected by this system. We've got tropical storm warnings in effect, which means they're likely to feel those tropical storm conditions within 24 to 36 hours and in fact become a hurricane, but then take more of a curve up toward the north. So good news, we want to see that northerly track. Here's Olivia. Yeah, we go over to the Pacific and we're concerned about our 50th state, Hawaii. Winds with Olivia 90 miles per hour. It's a Cat 1 hurricane. It has been weakening and that will continue to be the case. It will weaken to probably tropical storm status, but notice the end of the cone puts it right over all the islands in Hawaii as we get towards Wednesday.
They don't
so you
need
really
that.
need to have a hurricane plan ready right now. But if you're still getting it together, don't forget that emergency supply kit. Our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knapp, shows us what to pack.
All right, guys,
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. I am going to put the link below so you can follow this if you want by yourself. I will do updates again here at noon, and you'll be able to see it here as well. God bless. Please be safe. Thank you so much for watching.